So yeah, I haven't done a video on the new version of ticket auction manager that I've done lately, and I've been working on this a lot more. I have the previous version, which is Microsoft Access based, and the main reason why is, as you can see, I'm a Linux user now. I go back and forth though. Like if I really struggle with Linux, I go back to Windows, but this time it might actually stick as I get more and more used to Linux. So so yeah, the I do have a compiled version. I just use Pi installer for it, so it's nothing special. I have a script that runs calls Pi installer. Uh, there's a hidden import that TTK bootstrap needs that I have in that script, and that makes the compiled version. I might tune it a little bit. I might add an icon sometime if I can figure out a good icon design for it and all that fun stuff. But for now, I just have a basic Pi installer script, and then so yeah, first things first is to even run it. You need some sort of MariaDB database, and I'll go through the steps on how to create that first. So skip past this part if it's already set up for you. You just need to use it. So you can either install it through your distributions repositories if you're going to host on a Linux computer. If you're going to host on a Windows computer, you can just download from the MariaDB website. Like so, if you look up like MariaDB and click here, you can do download at the top, and then you just select like yeah, it's Windows and whatnot. So you can install it from there that way. Otherwise, like I would just recommend installing it from your distributions repositories. That's included in most distributions. Last I knew, I usually used Debian or Ubuntu or Fedora, and it's been included in the repositories of all those distributions so far. So once you get that set up, you just gotta connect to it. So I have it in a Docker uh, container right now, so I'll connect to that using the IP address to it. And pass in the username, I'll just do -p, it'll ask me for a password. And that gets me into the server. So once you get logged into a MariaDB server, this is what you'll typically see. First things first, we'll create the database. So we'll do like I'm just capitalizing it. It's usually not case sensitive, so you don't have to capitalize it. I'm just capitalizing the stuff that's SQL, so that you know which one or which stuff is SQL and which stuff is just the usernames and passwords I'm setting for the demonstration. So we'll do create database, and you'll pass in the database name. So I'm not capitalizing it because it's the name of the database. And usually when I do it, I like to do a default character set, and that will be a UTF-8 MB4. And you end your statement, so the semicolon. So database created, now I can jump into it. And then we'll just do create table, prefixes, and prefix varchar. I'll make that 150 bytes long. That doesn't really matter too much. You just need to do, like, if you're going to have long prefix names, you'll have to probably make it longer. And I'll probably make this bigger just so it'll continue out. So primary key will also make it not null, so we don't have to do that. Then we need to make another column for boot style, and that will be another varchar 150, and we'll just do not null. And same thing, end parenthesis, end semicolon, and that creates that. So now if we do a show tables, I think it is, we have prefixes, and or however you do it, like yeah, I'd have to see if I can remember that sometime. So yeah, that table's been created, as we can see. Then we can do a create user, because you don't want to use the root user, and default installations of MariaDB usually ask you, like if you follow the instructions to do it, you run the MySQL secure installation command, and that will prompt you through, and it recommends that you disable remote access to your root accounts, and I agree with that. That's good security practice. So we'll create a user, and we'll do tam test. Then you do have to do an @ sign. Then you do either, I usually do single quotes because you shouldn't be using double quotes for host name. So if you have specific host name stuff, like if you have a certain client set that's going to be connecting to it, you can do the wildcard after, like the first couple of octaves of your IP address range, and that'll make it so that anyone in that IP address range can connect using that user. Just to not have any issues currently for the demonstration, I'm just going to do the wildcard, and that just makes it so that this is just a username, and this is from whatever host that's going to be connected to, so that would be like your actual client that'll be connected to. If you want to make things really secure, you can make a separate user for each client, potentially with its own username and password, but we'll make that identified by, and then put in the password here. So and you can call me Happy Hogan. Yep, so that creates a user. So we need to grant privileges now. So if you want the user to be an admin, you can grant all privileges. And probably do like another user that's just has user privileges. So you can do grant all privileges on, then you'll do the tam test dot star, then to, on that user that we just created. So tam test at the wildcard thing there, and then that should give them all privileges. So then we'll just do that for the user, and also do that at the wildcard, and something like that, and press enter. That'll create that, and then since they're just a user, we'll do grant select insert and update. That's the only 3 privileges that they need for the to use it. And on tam test dot star to tam use at the wildcard. So then that grants some user privileges. So as far as database administration side, we're done with that. So we can exit that and then exit out of the terminal. So I have two things here. The server DB install is a script I did to do all that for you. It doesn't seem to be working right. I don't know what it's doing or why it's not passing the passwords in. I gotta play around with that, so it might not work, and that's why I showed the manual way of creating it. Um, but now that that's all done, we're just going to download and extract into downloads. Uh, so I'm just wondering if there's like a create folder option. So just extract, show the files. So sometimes it won't prompt you to run it. If it doesn't, you just have to right click properties, then permissions, and then allow executing this file as a program. It did seem to automatically carry it in this. So to set up out of the box is I include this edit session thing. Then you can put in the stuff that needs. So this is the IP address in relation to the client. So this is the local IP address that goes to the Docker container that has a server that I just set up. And I think it's tam test, password, and tam test for the database. If you have certificates set up on your server, you can enable SSL, and that will encrypt a lot of the data going back and forth between the client and the server. And that generates a config file, so if you have multiple clients that need to connect to the same database, you can copy this config file between them two, or just copy this whole thing and apply them on there. Then you can click refresh here, and this will change to online. That'll let you know that you're good to go there. So now, since we're in the admin user, we gotta set this all up. You click edit here, and this allows you to add the prefixes. That's why we created that prefix table. So we'll just do regular for now. And then boot style will do that secondary and add the prefix. Once it creates all the tables and stuff, it should appear down here. And we'll do specialty, and we will do that as a primary. Then click add prefix, and that's usually what I do for the yearly event that I typically use this for. So now we can refresh, and as you can see, as you change that, that's what the boot style does. So it also changes the colors of all the boxes based on the boot style of the prefix you select. So that's just something I kind of included in there. So once you have the ticket form up, you can start going to the pages. So if someone hands you a page that starts with 1001 and goes to 1020, you enter those at the top, and it gives you that page. Then you can start entering names and phone numbers. And if you tab over once from the phone number field and hit space, it'll toggle the preference too. So if this person prefers text, then you can toggle it to text. And if you're worried about the auto saving feature incorporated, you can save it by hitting Alt S, and that'll save it. So you can do Alt L to go down. So all the shortcuts are right on the buttons. So whatever you want to do here, you can also press the shortcuts. So let's say I need to duplicate this person down. I can duplicate them down that way, and go to the next person. I can do Alt L, and I'll go to the next person. I have a random name generator built in. So like I can test it out by doing that. It's like but yeah, you can use Alt J to duplicate down. You can use Alt U to duplicate up. Alt L to just go down. Um, so Alt R does a random name generator. So yeah, once you get to the end of the page, like if you have another sequential page lined up ready to go, you can do Alt N and that takes you to the next page. And then you can use Alt B to go back to that page. So Alt N takes you to the next page, and you can keep doing the same thing. And I'll do a few pages of this. We don't need to go absolutely crazy, but I'm just doing Alt R and then Alt L. When you do an Alt L, it automatically saves it as you before you go down. And once the names appear in the current results in this big tree view here, they're in the database. So you don't have to worry. Once they hit that, they're in the database. So you're all good to go once you see them in there. So once you get your things entered, if you have time, like before or during the event that you're using this to manage for, you can use the baskets form to put descriptions and donors in for each one. A lot of times I don't have the time to do that, so I usually just leave them blank, and it doesn't really matter because it'll create them on the drawing form if you don't have that time to do that anyway. But yeah, so from here you can enter in the winning number. So essentially how this works is you sell the tickets, the people buy the tickets, and they put them in the baskets for each of the items they want to win. Then the volunteers go through, draw a ticket for each item, tapes it to the item or whatever, and this screen is what you use to enter those winning ticket numbers in. So once you enter a winning ticket number and save it, the winner information should show up. Uh, if it doesn't, so we'll do one where it doesn't, it will just show none. So it doesn't give you an error message, doesn't give you like another screen. Like that was a problem I had with the Access version, is I typically had to hard bind it for Access to realize that there's a relationship there. So in that way you couldn't put any sort of winning ticket that didn't exist in the database. I kind of corrected that. I do the relations not necessarily as relations on the back end, but I do views. So if the view doesn't pick up that there's someone there, it'll just return a none value. So we'll just go back up. I also have a random thing, so Alt R here just draws a random person for you, so you can use that to test. And same thing, all the same shortcut keys work here. So you don't have to remember a bunch of different shortcut keys for different screens, because they're all the same. So we'll just do a couple pages worth. So same thing here, once you see it down here, it's in the database. And then this report section, this is where all the magic happens. So I have two reports currently. One of them sorts them by last name first, but then it goes by first name. And if two winners have the same first and last name, they'll go by phone number, and then by the basket, or I think basket number, yeah. So then, like if the same person won like 3 baskets or something, it should group them all together in the report. By basket number, so if you have all your baskets arranged sequentially, then it makes it easier to pick those for the people after you call them. Hey, you won something, they come and pick it up. Then basket number just sorts it by basket number. So I do have a little bit of a previewer here, and then if you want to do two separate reports for texting and calling, you can do that at the top. Then it changes the preference, and it also changes the title, so you'll see that when you print the report out. We'll just do all for now, and I know you can tell the title too. This is just so you can preview everything, and when you're all ready to go, you click Save and Open, and it opens it in your web browser. Then from here, you can print right to your printer, and that's how it looks when it comes out. And that's how you can tell with the basket numbers too, is it's just sequential by basket number, and it has the winner information here. And I find this system, even though I haven't used this system in production yet, it works a lot better than using Excel, because years prior to me coming up with this, we used Excel, and it required a lot of human intervention. And a lot of times when there's human intervention, like things get shifted a line or something like that, and you have a bunch of people getting mad because you're calling them, telling them that they won something when they actually didn't, and all that. So, so yeah, this eliminates that, because this is machine hard coded to make these sort of relationships between the ticket number and the winning ticket in the baskets table. So that way you don't have that human intervention to have stuff go wrong. Um, so you can be like, hey, let's say I just want a texting report on people who prefer text. We'll just print that, and then you're done. That's a report created. You don't have to do anything other than click a couple of buttons. So yeah, that's just my demonstration on how to set this thing up, how it works, and I hope this is helpful, showing you like how to use it and how to set up. So before I ramble on too much, with that, I hope you all have a good day. So I'll see you on the next one.